Ladies and gentlemen, failure, it's a word that stings. It's a word that people run from, a word that makes the stomach turn, the hands sweat, and the mind reel with regret. And yet, despite how much we fear it, most people spend their entire lives caught in its grip. It's an uncomfortable truth, one that's easier to ignore than to confront. But if you're here, if you're willing to listen, then perhaps there's a part of you that is ready to face reality. And let's talk about another reason people fail. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping outside the norm, fear of standing alone, fear of being seen trying. Because to try and fail in front of others is embarrassing, isn't it? To risk and lose means opening yourself up to criticism, to the whispers and the laughter of those who never had the courage to try in the first place. So what do most people do? They play it safe. They silence their ambitions before they can ever take shape. They convince themselves that it's better not to try at all than to try and fall short. But what they don't realize is that failure is not the opposite of success, it's a prerequisite. No one, not a single person who has ever achieved anything worthwhile, did so without failing along the way. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't that they never fail, it's that they refuse to let failure define them. They learned, they adapted. They kept moving forward when most people would have given up. And that brings us to another ugly truth: most people fail because they are unwilling to pay the price of success. Everyone wants the rewards, but few are willing to endure the struggle. They want the fit body, but won't commit to the grueling workouts. They want the wealth, but refuse to put in the years of effort, the sleepless nights, the relentless grind. They want to be respected, admired, envied, but they won't do what it takes to become someone worthy of those things. Success demands sacrifice. It demands resilience, patience, and an unshakable belief in yourself even when no one else sees your vision. It demands that you work harder than you think possible, that you push yourself beyond your limits, that you keep going when every part of you is screaming to stop. Most people aren't willing to do that, and that's why they fail. So let's talk about it. Let's strip away the excuses, the false comforts, and the blame. Let's understand why most people fail not as some cruel twist of fate, but as a consequence of choices, of habits, of a mindset that cripples potential before it ever has a chance to flourish. The first and most devastating reason people fail is simple. They refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. It's easier, after all, to point the finger outward rather than inward. The economy is bad. My boss doesn't like me. My parents didn't raise me right. Society is unfair. And you know what? Some of these grievances might be true. Life is not fair. There are obstacles in your way, sometimes ones you didn't put there. But here's the brutal reality: sitting around and blaming the world will not change a damn thing. Because here's what happens when you refuse to take responsibility. You give away your power. You become a victim of circumstance rather than the master of your own fate. And once you settle into that mindset, you've already lost. You might as well throw in the towel and accept mediocrity, because success will not find you if you refuse to take ownership of your actions, your failures, and your future. But let's assume for a moment that you understand this. Let's assume that you accept responsibility. Even then, most people still fail because they lack discipline. They mistake motivation for commitment. They wake up one morning feeling inspired and they tell themselves that today is the day everything changes. They start working out. They begin a new project. They read a book that opens their eyes to new possibilities. But then, as soon as that initial excitement fades, they revert back to their old habits. They tell themselves they'll try again tomorrow. That's the thing about success. It doesn't care how motivated you are. It doesn't care how much you want it. What matters is whether you're willing to show up day in and day out, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because discipline is what separates those who succeed from those who merely dream. And you know what destroys discipline? Comfort. Most people fail because they chase comfort instead of progress. They don't want to feel discomfort. They don't want to wake up early, to put in the extra hours, to push through the exhaustion. They don't want to be rejected, to be laughed at, to risk looking like a fool. So they stay where it's safe. They convince themselves that they're being reasonable, that they're protecting themselves from unnecessary hardship. But here's the irony being, avoiding short-term discomfort, they guarantee long-term suffering. Because the real pain isn't in effort, it isn't in discipline, it isn't in rejection or failure. The real pain is waking up 10, 20, 30 years from now and realizing that you wasted your life, that you settled for less than what you were capable of, that you traded your potential for an easy, comfortable existence that led to nowhere. But let's go even deeper, because there's something else, something even more insidious, that keeps people trapped in failure. It's not just laziness. It's not just fear. It's the people they surround themselves with. If you spend your time with losers, with people who have accepted failure as their destiny, then guess what? You will become one of them. Environment shapes behavior. If you surround yourself with weak-minded individuals who complain, who make excuses, who have no ambition, then their mindset will infect you like a disease. You will lower your standards to match theirs. You will absorb their negativity, their pessimism, their belief that success is only for the lucky few. And before you even realize it, you'll become just like them. If you want to succeed, then you must surround yourself with people who are better than you, people who challenge you, who push you, who refuse to let you settle for mediocrity. You must seek out mentors, role models, individuals who embody the qualities you aspire to develop. And yes, that might mean cutting ties with certain people. It might mean walking away from friendships that have held you back for too long. It might mean being alone for a while, but if that's what it takes, then so be it. Because here's the final truth: most people fail because they never truly commit. They talk about success, they dream about it, but deep down they are not all in. They have one foot in and one foot out. They keep a backup plan, a safety net, an excuse, ready for why things didn't work out. They don't burn the boats. They don't put themselves in a position where failure is not an option. But those who succeed, they commit fully. They bet on themselves. They embrace the struggle. They take ownership of their lives, develop discipline, reject comfort, conquer fear, pay the price, choose the right people, and refuse to give up. So the question is, who are you going to be? Will you be like most people, living in quiet frustration, making excuses, blaming the world for your shortcomings? Or will you rise above? Will you take control, push yourself beyond what you thought possible, and build a life of purpose, achievement, and fulfillment? The choice is yours, and so is the responsibility.